How y'all doing? Today's video is going to be about feasibility. I know it's a crazy word, something that is fairly new to my wife and I, but I hope you stick around and watch it. By the way, my name is Dusty, and this is Fox Holler Homestead. So I really appreciate you guys coming. Like I said before, we're going to talk a little bit about feasibility. Now, when you purchase or go to purchase a piece of property, you'll have a specific time. It's not like a house where you have to get inspections and appraisals and all that. This is actually something completely different. What feasibility concerns is the ability to look down a checklist, come up with a checklist, and mark off all the checks to make sure that you are going to be able to accomplish what it is that you want on the property. So let's say you want to build a house and the property is, like ours, is completely undeveloped. We had a little bit of a road, but from that point it needed to be extended, logging, creating and clearing. I mean, there's so many things involved. So like I said, this is your 30, 60, or 90-day time to determine whether or not whatever it is that you want to do on the property is feasible. So with that being said, Regina and I initially signed up, or what we did is we asked for a 60-day feasibility. Now when you do that, you're expected to put down a deposit, and a deposit is, we put down a little about $5,000, and what that does is it reserves our spot and our time, which was that 60 days, so it stops any other offers from coming in. So what that says to the owner is that we're very serious about this, so serious that we're willing to put down this amount in order to check everything out. So with that being said, we were on our mission, and the very first thing that we came across was that our real estate agent, who was also the real estate agent, or the agent of the owner, gave us some really good news, which at the time we didn't really know what it was. So it's called a CAD, Critical Areas Designation. And I have some notes here. The Critical Areas Designation, or CAD, actually includes your erosion, wetlands, streams, slopes, buffers, erosion zones. I mean, the list goes on. And it's a full diagram of complete topography, etc., etc. That was huge for us, because the previous owner, now the owner at the time, was going to he was actually going to build a house on the property, and so he paid engineers to design the driveway, or the potential driveway, and the build site, and where the well was going to go, and the list goes on. So he paid that. That was a huge amount of money that came out of his pocket, and a huge benefit to us. So that was number one. It was a huge plus. In concerns to, we came up with a 1 through 5, which were the most important. Now, this 1 through 5 list can be extended. It's really dependent on what it is that you and your family, or just yourself, are looking to accomplish on the property. So when I spell out this 1 through 5 list, it's not a final. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So just keep that in mind. So number one was, we needed to determine, because the property, we're in an unincorporated part of a county. So what that means is we're not going to be able to hook up to septic, and we will not be able to hook up to city water. So if we can't hook up to septic, that means we're going to have a drain field on our property. And with a drain field, what that entails is quite a few different things. They want to determine whether your soil is permeable enough to hold a drain field, and that it will not cause any problems. The list goes on. So they have to come out and test your soil. This was the only part that actually came out of our pocket, and it cost us approximately $900. Now, this is crazy. When we actually contacted a septic engineer, what they do is they come out with a piece of equipment, they dig some perk holes, and they test your soil. Well, we already had perk holes, so he actually came out to the property and was so impressed by the soil itself, the soil samples that he took, he was already pretty much guaranteed. He said, it's a huge plus. So what that is from that point is, he is a licensed engineer. He writes up his plan that we paid for, his services, etc., that go by the county's rules and regulations that determines that yes, we will be able to have a septic field or drain field on our property to serve a single family house. Awesome. That was number one. Number two was the drilling for a well. Now, I ended up calling a few different drilling companies, and the reason why is because you have to, I mean, it's a kind of hit and miss kind of thing as far as, I mean, there's a ton of drilling companies, there's a ton of all these different companies, and you want to make sure that each and every company that you look for has a bunch of positive reviews, more positive than maybe negative, that they have a good website. You know, the list goes on. Just check and do your due diligence and make sure that the company that you are hiring to come out onto your property and do a service is a good one and top service. Also, it's something that I thought to myself, and I've always thought this: good service is not cheap, and cheap service is not good. So, just a thought. So we actually contacted, like I said, the drilling company. That drilling company gave me a fair estimate, because what they do is they look at your geographical location of where it is your house is going to be, where roughly the drill site's going to be, and then they look at the houses around, and they look if there's a community well or if it's going to be a single well, which ours is going to be single. There is no community well, which I'm totally happy with. With that being said, it's a certain amount of money to drill, for them to come out and drill, to insert all the pipe that goes down into the ground, and it's a minimum of 150 feet. So they said because of our geographical area, it's going to be between 150 to 200 feet, which is cool. And then from that point, it's not like you drill, you know, poke a hole in the ground, water comes out. It does, but you still need a pump house, etc., etc. So we needed to verify that all of that was okay, and it's totally okay. That was the next thing that was awesome. So that was a huge plus. That was number two on our list, was drilling our well. Number three is actually going to be electricity. Now, we are going to put a lot of solar panels. We would like to depend mostly on solar panels at some point in time, but we still need some sort of electricity up there, being as that we're building a decent sized house. Now, the amazing thing that we saw from the very beginning was that there was power already on the property. Now, here's the catch. There's two power poles. There's power coming from the road going through our property, and it just happens to go directly through the center of our proposed build site. Now, I had to follow it. Come to find out, it services the neighbor, which is, 9 acres over there. It services one person. Now, due to our diligence, what we found out is that PSE, Public Utilities, does not have easement on our property. And what that means is that they don't have permission, they don't have right to have those power poles and that wire power line on our property, which is, there's pros and cons to that. Not so many. I mean, the cons are that it goes directly through our build site. The pros is that there's already power there, and I've already been in contact with the power company, and what we're trying to do is come to an agreement of keeping the power there, and potentially, and basically, they would pay for the transformer, they'll pay for the line, but I want the power line underground. I don't want it over top of my house. And I would be responsible for the ditch, which is fine. But in return for them paying for the transformer, the wire that goes to our house, the meter box, all that stuff, I will grant them, or we will grant them, easement. But if they choose not to, and they seem open to that, which is awesome. It's a great thing. So if you have that, if you come across a property that has that, there's always wiggle room. Try and work with the utility companies if you can. If they choose not to in the final run, then it's good. Get the power off my property, and I will pay for my own service. So that's pretty much that. That's electric. Now, the next one is actually going to be something that we've had ups and downs with this, and it's concerning logging. Now, let me see. Yeah, that logging and grading and clearing. So what that basically means is that we have an existent driveway that comes up from the main road, and it comes up quite a bit, but it only goes about a quarter of the way to the build site. Now, that means from that point, from the ending point of the driveway through the woods, over the river and through the woods to our potential build site we're going to have to log. That's concerning a grading and clearing plan. So we actually had a forester, we've had foresters come up, we've had loggers come up, and they come up and see the timber and they get so excited because there are some old growth that are just the most beautiful trees, and then there are a lot of second generation growth. And with that being said, that's just huge money. It's a lot of cedar, western red cedar, and that's huge money signs to them, which I get it, I understand, but you have to be very, very careful when it comes to logging and clearing and grading, which is something, again, there's permits that you have to go, there's procedures, policies, there's so much stuff that is involved in that we actually never knew anything about prior to. So that was a huge learning curve for us as well, just the logging, and we're still finding a ton about that. But we did know that it was possible. It was basically, I'm at a loss of words. That basically told us that if we extended the driveway up over the top, we weren't going to be going through any kind of serious wetland, and the buffers were okay. You know, the list goes on. So that was that. So that was a huge plus. And the final thing was a forest management plan. Now, when it concerns a forest management plan, at the very beginning, we had no idea what that was. All we knew was that our property, which is 9 acres, it falls under residential. Now, it's good because you can build a house. The bad thing is that it's 9 acres residential. And for anybody that knows anything about taxes, that means our taxes are through the roof. Now, the value of the property is amazing. It's amazing. But that also is a downfall because our taxes go higher. So we found out early on that there was such thing as a forest management or forest stewardship. Forest management plan basically means that you're going through the county through Department of Natural Resources, and you are, in short, now this is not a whole definition, in short, you're converting a certain amount of your forest land to forestry. So that means that we're not going to continue, we haven't have any plans to build apartment buildings and, parking lots and, water parks, all that stuff. We're going to continue keeping the forest as natural and beautiful as it is, along with preserving it and continuing to work on the health of our forest and maintain the health of our forest and make it the best that it is, with the minimal amount of building, which would be our house. So that actually led us, and that was basically our number 5. So I'll go over that list again, and it is number 1 would be septic. Number 2 would be drilling for a well. Number 3 would be the electric, dealing with the electric company. Number 4 is logging or clearing and grading. And number 5 would be forest management plan. Now, all of that went awesome, and we decided to, make the final jump, and it has been a crazy journey since then. With that being said, we still are on a constant learning curve. We're still constantly we're finding out these new things. And it's literally, I mean, even when we had to re-engineer the driveway, because the driveway was engineered on the CAD plans a different way, that was another, $3,000 out of our pocket to re-engineer the driveway. But that's basically to do a primitive road and to, in short, to tell us water drains downhill, which was so informative. But again, it's a learning plan. It's a learning curve. Nothing is going to be set in stone exactly how it's supposed to be. So With that being said, oh, that was another thing, is we are now taking a forest stewardship class through the University of Washington. Amazing class. And if you ever get a chance to actually purchase property, or if that's what your goal is, I strongly suggest taking a forest stewardship plan with your local area in a college, because that's going to give you a huge insight as for the trees that are on your land, the bushes, the habitat, the undergrowth, I mean, the list goes on and on. The animals, I mean, again, the list goes on and on and on. And it is so helpful in the long run to help you, if that's what your plan, your goal is to build something and live off the environment in the best way that you can. Yeah, like I said, strongly suggest it. And it's been nothing but a benefit. And it not only goes over the forest, but it also goes over the logging aspect of it, and the logging part, and the pricing and merchant, or I can't even think of what the word is, but basically having a forester come out and teaching you how to write a forestry plan to convert it over to forestry land, but also teaches you a little bit about selling your timber and making sure that you get the best deal that you could possibly get without the loggers coming in there and just ruining things. So anyway, I hope that really worked out. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and you know, I appreciate everything that you guys have done as far as our support. We hope that you guys stick around, and until then, it was great seeing you. We'll see you soon. Critical areas designation.